to needle at it. I asked. Hello and welcome everyone to September 25th regular town council meeting. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Curtis, is there any additions or deletions? Yes, Councillor Rudick.
We have an item to add to closed session, please.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor of the amended agenda? Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, thank you. Next up, the adoption of the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. First up, Manager Newton.
Thank you, Your Worship. In 2023, the newly named Vegreville Fire Services received a total of 16 applicants for paid-on-call firefighters. Due to various circumstances, the service was able to onboard a total of 12 new people, bringing our total to 46 members, 44 of those being active. With that, there's currently 1 full-time fire chief, 1 deputy chief, 4 captains, 3 lieutenants, 30 firefighters, 2 support staff, and 5 junior members. The first time in many years the service has had these numbers. With the onboarding, we noted there isn't enough turnout gear for everyone coming on board, or that will become off the junior status within the next few months. The fire service was able again to assist in deployments for wildfires in Alberta and the Northwest Territories. A request from the province of Alberta was received to myself asking for assistance providing manpower and a Type 3 engine to assist in the wildfires in Northwest Territories. With a joint submission of an apparatus from the County of Minburn and 5 of our crew members, we were able to provide that with a total of 82.5 hours, which resulted in a revenue of $48,341.64 that we'll be receiving from the province of Alberta. We are asking to allocate those funds to keep our new members engaged, as it is important to provide them with gear. We have determined there is stock gear available through one of our vendors instead of waiting for up to a year for new gear. These funds will be able to outfit 10 people, and the VFS is currently working on the sizing and allocating the appropriate people. It'll be noted to ensure that when replacement is required in 2029, that adequate budget is allocated during the budget process. We're asking the council to take these funds and allocate it to the operating budget for 2023 for $48,341.64, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Some discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Manager Newton. With that request, I think it's important to note that 46 firefighters in the volunteer world in any community is outstanding when the volunteers in this country are dropping out of volunteering for fire departments. In order to have these firefighters train and be part of their response team, it's very important that they're fully equipped in protective gear. This money was not budgeted through the process, but was part of our deployment to the Northwest Territories. So I believe I would fully support these funds for fire protection gear for our firefighters.
Okay, thank you. Manager, can I ask you, was there an allocation of money that went to the county as well, or did they supply any firefighters or anything like that?
Yes, Your Worship. 50% of the 50% of the total hours for the apparatus was paid to will be paid to the county once we receive all the funds.
So this is our share.
That is correct. So with that, the revenue is $48,341 after we pay our members, after we pay the county, after we pay all our gas back. That would be the total revenue.
Okay, so we're looking to gear up for 10 firefighters. That gear's around $4,800 a piece?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay. And where are we at with the lifespan of our gear that we have for the firefighters today?
The total, how many years of service, I can't tell you how many things we'll have to change out. I believe that was budgeted for starting in 2024 regarding a second set for everybody. But our lifespan is 10 years per person.
Okay, so we're already looking in the next few years' budget to add 10 a year at 50,000, basically is what you're saying, is what, I'm just trying to figure out where we're progressing with the other stuff that we already have.
Yeah, Your Worship, we do take that number and put in that in consideration for every budget year. Right now, I have my people looking at what is coming up for 2024, and we'll be prepared for that in the new budget system.
Well, myself personally, I have to agree with Councilor Lemko. The fact that this was money that was unbudgeted for it, if all the bills were paid for those volunteers to go up there and the gas, I do think it's outstanding that have a full house over there. I can't remember any time in my 40 years here that we've had a full house, so good job on your staff and yourselves over there, because it shows a lot in our community that we have people that want to be involved in and want to make a difference, so.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to point out that there was no active recruitment, so this is all word of mouth from our volunteers that are currently out there, that we're open for business, and we'll take anybody that's capable and willing to take on this role for them.
It's awesome. Go ahead, Councilor Rowan.
So I would echo that I have no problem, approving that funding. Particularly, I think that it's important that sometimes that it's forgotten by some centers that these volunteer firefighters, or our fire services, we say, they respond to all of the same types of things as full-time firefighters would. In fact, I think that sometimes what they respond to is even a higher degree of stress, because often they're responding to local people, which is something that isn't even a situation often faced by city firefighters, for example. So I certainly support that. I'm just wondering if we think, given the fact that both the town and county had received some funding back, if it would be worth potentially asking if the county would be willing to as well share some of their monies received back. Again, I'm not opposed to us funding it, but I'm just wondering if it's worth the ask.
Well, you know what the model is over there.
Yes.
So their firefighters would probably want to take the money back to their house. They own half the equipment. The trucks that were involved, they have half the ownership in those, correct?
That's correct, and that's why they were allocated that 50% of that ownership through agreement. And through our agreement, we do receive funding every year for a stand-ready fee from our current agreement as well from the county.
So I don't think we'll be working that angle. We already got an agreement in place.
Yeah, and I can see that. It would be good if the recognition was there that this is additional money, just as we are, but I guess we can't expect that same to be applied on all sides.
No, and again, their people and their fire departments are all volunteer and stuff too, so, I mean, good on all of them. I mean,
It's awesome.
anytime, the fact that our members probably would have done it for free anyway, gone up there, so, I mean, the fact that the province is willing to pay out, cover the cost, and it helps us with these new members, I'm all for it, so. So, we have a motion on the floor for the recommendation. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, who's doing the correspondence? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the first correspondence is from Colin Zyla, the CAO from the town of Mundare, and it's regarding the Alberta Community Partnership Grant. So it's, I'm pleased to inform you that the town of Mundare Council passed the following motion at their September 5th meeting, that the town of Mundare participate in an Alberta Community Partnership Grant application for a regional recreation feasibility study with the town of Vegreville, the town of Two Hills, county of Minburn, county of Two Hills, and the county of Lamont, with the town of Vegreville as the managing partner. Please contact me if you have any questions.
You might as well move right to the next one.
Okay, and then the next one is from the county of Minburn, from Pat Potoporozny, the CAO there, and it's, again, for the Alberta Community Partnership, the ACP program application for the Regional Recreational Feasibility Study. Be it resolved that the county of Minburn Minburn number 27, in partnership with the town of Vegreville, town of Mundare, town of Two Hills, county of Two Hills, and Lamont County, participates in the application of the ACP program for a regional recreational feasibility study. Further, that the county of Minburn number 27 act as a partner in this grant application, with the town of Vegreville acting as the managing partner. And that motion was carried.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to receive and file both of these letters. Counselor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead, Counselor Worba.
I'm just wondering, we as council have discussed it, so we understand it, but would it be possible to have it explained for the people that are viewing? Because I had 2 calls specifically on this after our last meeting, just what the difference is between this application for the feasibility study versus what was done in the past with the master plan. I'm just thinking, because a few people asked, maybe it's worth it to explain what the difference is.
This application is, this feasibility, regional recreation feasibility study that we're doing now is to look at the, what is required, what Vegreville would be required or the surrounding communities would be interested in Vegreville having in a new recreational facility. Where our usage is, what they are looking for in a facility, where if their residents are coming here for the arena usage, swimming pool usage, if indoor soccer would be something that they would participate and support. Walking, like a indoor walking trail, gym, fitness center, that type of stuff. The more information we have from the surrounding communities and the residents of those communities that will be using the facility allows council to make a better decision on where the money is spent, on what particular things they want to see inside this facility. The Regional Recreational Master Plan was more of an inventory of what exists in the surrounding communities, included everything from walking trails to community halls out in the country, that type of social culture base was in there as well. So it was more of like an inventory, how we can use it collectively. So it was kind of the starting point for this type of feasibility study.
Yeah, and with this grant funding for this report that we're looking for, it's gonna give us some idea of what we're gonna need in the size of a building. Hopefully that we're gonna engage the Elk Island Public School Board in these conversations as we move forward about what a new school would look like attached, sharing the bills. I mean, we'll probably get some information during the study, what other communities that have a similar setup, what their bills look like, what the costing model will be, you know, to operate it every day. These are the things that we need to find out as we move forward. And the more partners that we have in this, that we know that their citizens are coming here, the more collective it looks and the better off we're gonna be trying to, you know, to figure out some grant dollars, so. I do believe that's what my goal is with this grant. And I'm hearing from these other municipalities and they're in favor of it. They want a new modern facility for their residents to enjoy too, and so. Okay, so we have a motion to receive and file both those letters. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, CAO. Next up, Director Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. This document is the summary of the August monthly cash statement. Fairly boring one, but we started the beginning of the month with $14.036 million in the bank and finished the month with $13.733 million in the bank. So we had an overall monthly decrease of $303,000. Some of the major sources of cash included a $51,596 GST refund, $59,506 of fire revenue, $58,850 of monthly interest through our BMO account for money in its checking account. We had 2 tax TIPP revenue streams, one being $137,619, with the second being $158,460. we collected our ATCO Electric franchise fee, which was $62,542, and a portion of the Minburn Rec Center funds that they advanced while we finalized the agreement. Major uses of cash, we had 2 payroll runs during the month. We had the Alberta Municipalities and AMSC insurance components, the Regional Water Commission, and our Central Square software invoice for the year totaling $52,597.
The money that came in for firefighting was not what we received from the province, but from another large event that happened in town.
I believe so. That is correct.
Okay, so we did get paid there.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Take a motion. Councilor Werba, any comments regarding the cash statement? Go ahead.
Good to see that bill was paid for that big fire event in town.
Yeah, finally. Anyway, all those in favor? Gary. Okay. Still you.
Next topic is a request for council decision, with the topic being the ATCO franchise fees. The proposal is to approve the 2024 ATCO franchise fee. The background is our franchise agreements with ATCO allows for an annual change to the franchise fee percentage. Franchise fee rates range from 5 to 35%. Currently, Vegreville's percentage is 33%. If the town wishes to amend the franchise fees, ATCO must receive our request prior to November 1st of 2023. The letters received from ATCO outline the projected franchise fee revenues at current rates for 2024. Below is a comparison to 2022 and 2023 budget. For the 2022 budget, we estimated it being at $800,000. For 2023, we estimated it being at $770,000, and at the moment, the 2024 projection is for it to be $725,846. We currently charge 33% and have the ability to increase it to a maximum of 35%. At this point, the financial implication is the town of Vegreville will budget franchise fees in accordance with council's decision. The communication will be for senior management, and ATCO Gas will be informed of that decision. And the recommendation at this point is that the 2024 ATCO Gas franchise fee percentages remain at the 2023 rate of 33%.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Rudick makes the motion. Any discussion? I know we've talked about that. Go ahead, Councilor Rudick.
Yeah, I think showing the range of percentages for franchise fee indicates that this is definitely something that we should not be moving up on. So appreciate the recommendation, and I'm happy with this decision.
Yeah. I don't think ever going any higher is, I mean, if we're looking at anything, it would be a reduction. We all know it's coming next in January 1, another carbon levy, tax, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't really see how us taking a few percentages off is going to help anybody individually. I mean, you know, but it ain't going to get cheaper. That's for sure. Okay, no other comments? All those in favor? Carry. Thank you. CAO Ling.
Okay, this is request for council decision for the municipal contribution to the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. This is to approve the requested municipal contribution to the NSWA for the 2024 budget. At the Legislative Committee meeting held on September 19th, 2023, Town Council reviewed the letter from NSWA requesting a municipal contribution for 2024 of $3,377.40. This financial contribution supports how the Alliance collectively manages our rivers, wetlands, and lakes. Your support means that the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance can continue to bring municipalities and partners together to address water quality and quantity challenges, build new tools for decision makers, and improve our understanding of the watershed. This letter also stated that the town of Vegreville did not contribute to the NSWA in the 2023 budget. Administration can confirm that this is an error and that the town of Vegreville contributed $2,854 to NSWA in 2023. So the financial implications are that the 2024 municipal contribution represents an increase of $523.40 compared to last year. And the recommendation is that town council receive and file the correspondence from NSWA attached, and further that the new levy and approve the new levy for the 2024 budget.
Okay, take a motion for recommendation. Councillor Barry, first up. Any comments? Councillor Barry, what do you think about the letter they said we weren't in?
I think they just made a honest mistake. I think they probably, the individuals know that we did indeed participate last year, but it may have been a draft letter made for other communities and just put our name on it at the same time. So I think that is still a good cause. The municipalities that are within the watershed contribute a fair amount of money towards it, but most of the money for their operations come from EPCOR and the city of Edmonton as main contributors. So I'll have a couple of other statements to make when one of my meetings is presented.
But you would agree that being a part of this partnership or this alliance is important, that we have a voice on that board, because that water from the North Saskatchewan is what we drink every day, and there's a lot of people upstream from us.
That's what the studies that are done through the alliance is meant to do, is to try and monitor and maintain good water quality, as it's a very large area that is supplied for drinking water from the North Saskatchewan River. So it's not only important for us to see that the headwaters are kept, but for those downstream of us, it's also important that we don't contribute anything to damage their water quality. So I think it's a good trade-off to have the main watershed alliance and its sub-watershed alliances.
Excellent. Any more comments? Okay, all those in favor? Looks like we're in.
Okay, the next request for council decision is the Northern Lights Library System levy increase. And this is to approve the levy increase of 1.5% for the 2024 budget. The background on this is the Northern Lights Library System has approved the upcoming 2024 budget, which includes a 1.5% levy increase for municipalities and or their library boards. In the 2024 levy, equates to a $5.39 per capita for $30,766.12 paid to NLLS directly from the municipality. The town is legislated to pay a maximum of $31,000 annually to NLLS. The Vegreville Library Board will be required to pay the remaining 50% of the levy. In 2023, the town of Vegreville paid the Vegreville Centennial Library a $255,000 operating grant. From this grant, the Vegreville Library Board pays $30,309.48, 50% of the levy. In total, the town of Vegreville pays $284,387.48 to the Vegreville Library Board, the Vegreville Library, the Library Board, and NLLS. Attached is a summary of contributions to libraries and NLLS from neighboring municipalities and the municipalities of similar populations to Vegreville. So the financial implications is the 1.5% levy increase represents an increase of $456.64 for both the municipality and the Vegreville Library Board. The town of Vegreville will incorporate the levy increase into the 2024 budget. A copy of this motion accepting or rejecting the levy increase will be forwarded to the Northern Lights Library System Board. So the recommendation is that town council approve the levy increase for the 2024 budget.
Thank you very much. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Rudick makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, CEO Ling, for attaching the municipal contributions to Northern Lights. So the mayor had asked a couple of questions at last meeting about contributions to regional library systems. And so I have an email that I'm sorry I didn't forward earlier, but I can send this along afterwards. So just for your information, Northern Lights Library Systems is about the middle of the road. You didn't have the exact numbers currently, but as of April 2022, our levy was behind Chinook, Arch, and Marigold, but above Parkland, Peace, Yellowhead, and Shortgrass. Peace is the most comparable region in terms of population and geography, and they are about $1 behind us in the combined council board levy, but they are pushing for their 3-year budget for a 5% yearly, so 5% for each of the 3 years. And they appear likely to get it, which means that they'll surpass us in the levy by the end of 2025. In terms of comparing library systems, as you know, differences in services offered, population, and geography make direct comparisons hard. But that said, we're not far apart. Modest and consistent increases so that we can stay ahead of inflation and avoid big asks like Peace is our hope, which is why Northern Lights has asked for the 1.5% each year rather than having a dramatic ask afterwards. In terms of the per capita funding for the library, there isn't a source that breaks that down nicely. Municipal Affairs does have a chart available, and it's very hard to untangle that. But anecdotally, the spread is very wide between what you're mandated by the Libraries Act to contribute and what municipalities actually do. The minimum to ensure that the library is eligible for provincial operating grant is $3.52 per person. There are many municipalities that stick to that bare minimum, but there are many that also contribute quite a bit, significantly more. In Strathcona County, for example, which is right next door to us, contributes over almost $100 per person. So I would guess that we're neither of those. But all that to say, there is a recent analysis that Parkland did, and he's going to try to provide that study to us so that we can have that when we're doing our budget deliberations. So all of that to say, the modest increase, $456.64 to Northern Lights, both from the library board and from the municipality, is a nominal increase to be able to expand our offerings to our residents.
And as a member of the Northern Lights Regional Board, you're telling us that their plan is to increase it to 1.5 next year and the year after as well?
Yes, I believe I had reported that previously, and that was in the original letter that we had from James McDonald from Northern Lights to basically stave off the sudden fluctuation and have that steady increase, actually keeping it below inflation to try to keep pace because, for example, the province hadn't it was demonstrated the province has not kept pace with inflation nor with growth, including the number of people that have come to the province. And for the last 9 years, the province did not increase their funding at all for libraries or library systems at all, although they did that right before the election. So they did do a moderate increase, but it's still not keeping pace with municipalities. Municipalities still bear the brunt of the cost.
Well, I don't think it was much that they put into libraries.
No, they did not.
They announced FCSS was $5 million for every branch in the province. The library wasn't much more.
No, it wasn't significant, and it certainly didn't keep pace with even just the number of new Albertans in 9 years. So,
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I echo the same sentiments here. I think that we can recall a little history and go back a few years when the Northern Lights Library kept their fees steady and didn't make any increases because there were harsh times to most of the communities. And it was a matter at that point where they did start to almost fall behind. So I can appreciate that they are doing a wise catch-up right now after those periods of time. And what the individual libraries receive in services is actually well worth it. And I think we have had that presented to us at times where it's very outstanding the amount of in-kind monies, if you wanted to look at it. If individual libraries were obtaining all of those books themselves in one location, it'd be astronomical to them. They wouldn't be able to operate. But by being able to be within a system and have all those shared resources, a great deal is available to them at a minimal cost. So I think that the library systems across the province actually do a great job.
Okay. So we have a motion for a recommendation on the increase from the Northern Light Library Board. So all those in favor? Carried. I think that was it for you, CAO Ling. Okay, we'll move on to council reports, and we'll start with Councillor Warwick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I like how you never look at me when you're going to start with me. That's always quite helpful. Anyways, on September, like most other councillors, on September 19th, I had the legislative meeting. The 21st, my VTAB meeting was canceled and is rescheduled, so we're waiting on that. September 22nd, I was able to attend the Rotary Skate Park opening, which was great to be out and see. September 25th today, I had the FCSS meeting at tonight's council meeting. So I just want to loop back on the FCSS meeting for a couple of highlights that and Councillor Curtis will probably have a few additional ones to add in, but wanted to welcome and announce Anna Hernandez is our new FCSS office administrator position. So got to meet her officially this evening. So that was really good. And just some highlights that came over the June, July, and August. This is our first full meeting back after the summer, so there's quite a few little updates that we would have. But during that time, they've really continued to follow the strategic plan of getting back into the prevention side versus some of the more direct services. So they have been helping people access a lot of programs, and what we're seeing is exactly what we know is impacting people, which is economic impacts. So in particular, we're seeing a lot of seniors who, or people who are on Alberta Senior Benefit are having a problem if you change address, and they're having a delay or stoppage in their funding. So that's something always to keep in mind. And then the other one that we know happens, and it is happening quite a bit, is the Guaranteed Income Supplement. People are seeing where they aren't receiving it due to not filing the taxes. And I guess that's something we just want to remind the public that there is a little bit of a misconception sometimes that maybe if you have, as a senior, even very much a nil tax return, you need to keep filing it, because both the Guaranteed Income Supplement as well as the Alberta Senior Benefits are, they're reassessed every year, but they're based upon your previous year's tax return. So if you do not, it won't just continue at the rate it's at, it actually cuts you off. So just a reminder to everybody, we do have a program for people who are, low income, but certainly access those, find a way to make sure you're filing, because it could have quite a few impacts on you if you don't. As well, their Meals on Wheels program had 437 meals delivered in June, 419 in July, and 427 delivered in August. What we'd like to bring up about that again is we have a great program, very good food, as does our hospital. Very lucky for the type of food that's received there. But something important to note is that despite all of the increases that are going on, the fee for the food that's being provided for us has not gone up. So it's very, very reasonable, the type of meals that they're able to receive, and very thankful for that program. Another one that I have marked that I wanted to highlight was, they are going to continue to focus on the strap plan directives. So I'm going to be bringing to council or to Sandra, to CEO Ling, just a request to the next legislative meeting be able to bring those forward to council for a short discussion. So I have those ones. As well, the couple of other things that we have with just an update. We had talked the last meeting about the Settlement Services Office, and FCSS has been working with them and was able to offer up and provide a space where they could potentially be housed. One of the things to note right now is despite the federal government announcement for this expansion of the program. It was announced and they went ahead with planning, but actually have given no money. So that's why it isn't going forward. It absolutely was not for any lack of coordination with us as a municipality. And in fact, I think we need to commend our FCSS for thinking outside of the box somewhat, and even going to the step of saying, if you can't fully open, is there a possibility of us providing space that you could have somebody in one of the other spots? So what has happened there is, because of this lack of funding, some areas, particularly Calgary, actually ended up laying off 60 workers that were allocated towards this program. Rurally, it appears they were able to stay intact. The ones that were already existing have stayed intact. So there was an outreach through our FCSS to see if potentially someone from Camrose could come out and give some time while they're waiting for that expansion. So it looks like that will happen, and they will be starting a visual service, which will start this week. So, or virtual service, sorry, which will start this week. So that is a good step in the right direction. But again, we may need to be doing some advocacy if they aren't hearing, because the announcement was already made for funding and they're not receiving it. We may want to reach out as a municipality. Another thing that we will need to watch is impacts in our community. Again, some of these are things that should not fall on a municipality to provide, but we know that there always needs to be supports for crisis situations. Currently, it is the understanding that our crisis association is not going to be currently continuing, and we will see that as a big impact. So we definitely are going to be watching that, seeing what else can happen. There's some potential for some funding to fill the gaps, but to be fairly blunt, what we're seeing in that offer for funding isn't enough to actually cover it. So I think we're going to have some discussions there. There's nothing specific that can be brought on that spot. And then the other big thing, just in an ask of what we're hearing overall that we need to bring forward, and maybe we need to keep in mind as we're attending the Alberta Munis and have the opportunities, is the number one thing that is a shared concern is what they're saying is access to service. And again, the discussion was around that we often go to the side of transportation for that. We always talk about transportation too, but in the overall, it's not just transportation. Transportation's part of access to the service. So those are things we need to keep advocating to make sure that rural communities are not left out, that maybe when the province or the federal government are making announcements for that this area is servicing, or this area has been allocated as a center for whatever it may be, that we start asking them to maybe provide mapping as to where their services are, because it does seem that as we head this way out of the city, there may be less distribution at times for centers and resources, and it's starting to hit us hard. So those are just a few of the things, and that's what I've got. That's my report.
Well, thank you. So what you're saying is the federal government announced they're revving up this program, but they forgot to put funding in it, and they let 70 people go.
Pretty much.
Wow, if I was past president of FCM. Oh. Speaking of past presidents of FCM, Councillor Rudick.
Well, since we last met as council, I was happy to do our virtual board meetings for FCM, September 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So there were various resolutions that were brought forward, and I referenced a few of them, but I'm just going to bring one forward right now. As the voice of over 2,000 municipalities and 96% of Canadians in communities of all size across the country, we have resolutions that come forward on a variety of different topics, and one of the ones that was passed in our Standing Committee on Community Safety and Crime Prevention was increasing the tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and search and rescue volunteers based on the decreasing number of volunteers, the increasing number of search and rescue missions, as well as the severity of natural disasters. The pressures that are being put on municipalities are immense, and so this is one that came from the Regional District of Nanaimo in BC, and we'll see what happens. But again, many of our resolutions that we talk about in these committee meetings are the kind of things that impact people here in our community. So that particular resolution is one that passed easily with our board of directors, but This suggests that the current existing recognition is $3,000, and increasing to $10,000 would be something important to be able to retain all of the valuable folks that have joined our detachment here, for example. We did talk about a number of different issues. Of course, one of the most pressing, of course, is infrastructure and housing. Those are ones that keep coming up, as well as public safety, and you'll hear some of those topics referenced when our president, Scott Pierce, does his presentation on Thursday morning at Alberta Munis. Also, had a few other meetings of my regular boards. So I had September 20th, a library board meeting. We've got a few new members on our board, so happy to be able to have Christina Heusig join us, as well as a couple others that joined us the previous meeting. So we've got some new board members, and we've got policy that has been passed for sponsorship. So we're planning on reaching out to some of our local community business members and service clubs to start working on some partnerships to be able to look at different aspects of fundraising and sponsorship that would be relevant to the library. So this has been sitting for quite a while, but with new energy and a new manager, we've got lots of new projects on the go, and I would draw anyone's attention to the social media efforts that the library has been putting forward. So there's lots of pithy advertising, some good videos, and just to give some of the statistics, we're back up or have exceeded the number of people that are engaging in the library, coming in and or taking out books since 2019. So we've regained the number of people that are utilizing library before COVID. And in fact, some of the service offerings are actually higher. So the access to be able to take online audiobooks, podcasts, as well as games, and changing some of the things that we offer, such as the library of things that we plan on expanding, has really increased the type of people that are coming to the library. So there's a lot of interesting things and different approaches that they're using there. So happy to be a part of what they're thinking about, as well as interested to see what they're going to bring forward for the budget. So they were watching with interest the last council meeting and got a little bit of a flavor of what's happening here. So they're prepared. Also wanted to draw attention to the fact that FCM recognized last week was Gender Equality Week, and ahead of schedule, we have reached the goal of 30% of elected officials across the country are women. So our goal that we set back as a board a number of years ago was that by 2028 we would hope to have 30% of elected officials be women, and we've met that goal. So that's great. And so there was a few interviews that I did last week talking about the need to not only attract women to run for local government at a time when there are increasing numbers of people that are leaving. This is a challenging job, and it's been more and more confrontational, and elected officials are in a challenging spot. So just wanted to recognize elected officials that fit into that category and thank them for their service and ensuring that we've got diverse voices at decision-making tables so that we represent the communities that we are constructing. I also want to make special note of the grand opening of the skateboard park on Friday. Ton of people there. It was great to be able to see something that quite honestly seemed like a pipe dream. A number of years ago, it seemed like a ton of money and a big effort, and I can't say that there's a day that goes by that I don't see kids there all the time. So it's really quite exciting to be able to see that partnership. And I also want to just make special note that some kids that live out of town have made arrangements with their school to be able to keep their scooters at school so that they can scoot over from school over to the skateboard park and have their parents pick them up after work. So that kind of enthusiasm to engage in recreation is the very reason why we need to do the ACP feasibility study, to be able to continue to be a community that is thriving and meeting the needs of both our young and our more experienced residents. So I was really happy to hear that example. And thank you to all those that donated their time, energy, and their money to make this a reality. And today's meeting.
Thank you very much. Councilor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. September 13th, I attended the signage incentive photo at the Vegreville Suites, Tower 2. The 14th, I attended the MD Minburn committee meeting. And to just talk about that meeting, we had, if you noticed the paper 2 weeks ago regarding the Minburn feasibility study that was done around the expansion of the current facility. At this meeting on the 14th, the board had made the motion to proceed with the next step of the feasibility study. And that is that our consultant will present the findings of the study to all representative councils. So that would be the council of the village of Innisfree, council of the village of Manville, the county of Minburn, and this council here. Now, for those people who don't know out there, the Minburn board consists of those representative councils. One member from each of the communities of Manville and Innisfree, 2 members from the county of Minburn, and 2 members from the town of Vegreville sit on that board. And interesting part, as a board member, you need to remove your council hat. So it's a balancing act in that board meeting. But the project itself is the expansion of the lodge, 66 units, retaining the 24 that currently are the new build, to a total of 90 units. And then the repurposing of the old build, which was in the 61, I believe, repurposing that, eventually demolishing that in later part of phase 1. Phase 2 will be the addition of another 30 units based on the numbers in the feasibility study of the amount of seniors in our community, the amount of housing that will be needed for those as the baby boomers age into the need for extra places to live. So phase 2 will be our step. The next step will be the presentation from and that should be after all the budget discussions and all that. So that will probably be in the end of, mid to end of November as we move forward with that. Before we need the approval of the councils in principle to move ahead with the application for funding from both the provincial and federal governments and the loans that is required for that. September 18th, I attended the Tourism Advisory Board meeting. Just some highlights of that meeting was the Chamber is holding their arts and crafts sale on November 18th. Their Chamber Christmas party will be December 8th. The parade for the Christmas light up will be Friday, November 24th. Same parade route as last year. And there'll be, Saturday will be that craft sale that the Chamber has, so on the 18th, and then the 24th will be the parade and the light up and all the things that go with that. Fall registration night, I had a total of 40 tables, the biggest that has been in this community, with over 300 people attending that. The 19th, the Ledge meeting I attended, September 22nd, the Vegreville Denture Clinic, a photo for their signage incentive. September 22nd, the Rotary Skate Park grand opening. And again, I echo the statements made by other councilors that it was a great event, lots of people there. But I want to send a sincere kudos to the Rotary Club for sticking with this initiative from when they first had that dream of building that facility. And all the community partners and people who supported that cause with their steak and lobster nights and whatever fundraiser they had, and the community rallying behind that to now the beautiful park that we have. I think it's just a testament to what can be done by people who are in our community that want to get something done. So kudos to them. And tonight's council meeting, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. On September 14th, I had the opportunity to take in Talk of the Town and take Don Hartfield along with me as he was spearheading the Agricultural Society taking over the corn maze. And I'd just like to report the first weekend went very well out there. Was 480 present on the Saturday and 474 again on the Sunday. Great weather. Everybody had a really good time out there, and it'll be going 2 more weekends. So I'd like to see a lot more people get out there. I think it's going to be very successful, and I think the Ag Society will see that maybe they want to try and keep it going for a few more years. On the 15th, had a doctor meet and greet as part of the Attraction and Retention Committee. Very nice couple who are looking at the possibility of bringing their family and practicing here. But as the other doctors that we're currently working with, it takes quite a while for them to go through all of the steps in order to make it here. So we will keep our hopes up that by next spring we'll be looking at a full complement of doctors again, but at the moment we are a little bit short-handed there. And the PCN, Primary Care Network, is going to be working with the clinic and have practitioner nurses there that can take some of the walk-ins and et cetera. So there are some things evolving in the community that I think will keep medical care very prevalent and available. On the 18th, attended the Lakeland Employment Grand Opening. And for anybody who's looking for employment in the area and for those businesses that are looking for employees, this is a great opportunity here to be able to have the postings there. They offer a lot of good services. They can help with resumes. They can help you search for employment. So it's very good to see this in our community and networked in the Northeast. Expanding on what we were talking about a bit earlier, the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance, we also have what we call a technical advisory committee, and I sit on that as well, and we're part of the North Saskatchewan Technical Advisory Committee, so that we take a look at it from the scientific point of view, if you want to look at it that way. And right now, coordinated through the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, who provide us all of our administrative services, working on 3 different grant applications right at the moment in order to, the first one that I'm hoping we are successful on getting is to get the activity book that we've been working on for the youth to see how riparian areas, how watershed ecology operates. It's not really a coloring book, but it's an activity book that helps them learn about ecology. And we're hoping that we can get a grant on that, get it finished off and published. Another grant that we're looking at is to get an update on our 2012 management plan. And that would follow because this year we've been working on getting the original status of the North Saskatchewan River watershed was done in 2005. So last year, a complete rewrite and examination of that was underway. So we're trying to take a look at where we're at now compared to where we're at when we started all of the processes. And there's another grant that they're wanting to get and move on, but we've decided to put a hold on that until our TAC teams can actually assemble things and make the application better so that there's more chances of getting the monies. After that, I did on the 19th also have and I'm just going to call it again, a doctor attention and attraction, or retention and attraction, but it's for all healthcare. It's just too big a name. They've got to get it straightened out. We had our meeting on that as well, the ledge meeting on the 19th, and today's regular council meeting. And that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. So on September 13th, the Community Association of Lasting Success Board meeting got back together here on September 8th. Head Start program has kicked off on September 5th. There's 20 students currently enrolled, 15 in the PUF program, 1 in moderate, and four enrolled in English as an additional language. Also, family literacy, they've been looking at the CALP expansion grant has been approved. They're waiting to hear how much the grant will be for, so waiting for news on that. Family literacy programming has begun on September 13th. The programs will fill up quickly like they have before. Family literacy programming is expanding to 2 hills for the 2023 and 2024 year. So it just shows how communities are working together and helping each other, and how important it is for all surrounding communities to get together and work on stuff going forward. The school nutrition grant pilot that ran last year was a success. They discussed the challenges, successes, overall impact of the program. There's no information regarding the nonprofit school nutrition program running again, so they're still waiting for Alberta Education to get back to them on that. And they spent some of the funds that they got last year in a grant, some new kitchen stuff that they required and stuff to help with doing these programs. Little Explorers, this year 47 children attended Little Explorers this year, so that's just awesome. The full days were in high demand. There was a decrease in the half-day program, so there were more interest in the full-day programs. The Adventure Deputy program was a huge success. The youth who participated have expressed an interest in volunteering next summer. So that's a good news for volunteer base. On September 19th, our ledge meeting and tonight's council meeting, and that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. I start September 19th, ledge meeting as well. September 22nd, the photo for the Vegreville Clinic for the new sign. The 22nd, the skate park grand opening, which was awesome to see there. I had my daughter out there. She was jumping in the bouncy castle and on the scooter for a little bit nervous. There's a lot of big kids and a lot of guys doing crazy stuff there. So the bouncy castle was more appropriate at the end of the day, I think, for her for the first time. But and then today we had our FCSS meeting. Councillor Rob, you took a lot of what I had written down, so I'm going to try and find something that I can still talk about. One thing that's going to be big and really good coming up is FCSS has a group called the Community and Development Unit coming in, and they're going to try and bring some cohesion to the nonprofits. So get them together, get them all at the table, see what they want, what they need, how their numbers are doing, and how they can help each other to get some of these the things that they're trying to, the community events off the ground. That's coming later in the fall. One thing that I do have, I can probably show it up here on the camera, it's close enough, it's hard to see, but they have an updated helpline number system, right? So that we have now things that are agencies in and around Vegreville. We have provincial and national call lines, and then we have mental health supports as well. So these are available online. There's QR codes. They're going to have it posted around town too. You can print off all 3. You can print off the one that maybe you or a family member, somebody you know needs, but easy access for that. As well as they're trying out something new too. For people that are, have to call Alberta Supports or go online, it's kind of I know it's hard to see, but basically it gives you already what the preset buttons are going to be, what button 1 is, button 2 is. So senior benefits, income assistance, and they may actually trial this better where, if you say this is what I'm trying to do, they may have a nice flow chart for you. You're pressing 1, you're pressing 3, you're pressing 5, and you're not waiting 45 minutes to get to the wrong person who then says you got to call back and start over. So that's what I have, and then tonight's council meeting. So.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you all for what you do in the community every day. So on September the 12th, I had a picture with the Value Drug Mart, which was highlighted in this month as the mayor's business. Jameson, what we call my favorite business?
No, Your Worship. The mayor's monthly business spotlight.
Yes.
They're all your favorite businesses.
I know, so I have to find it hard. Anyway, it was with Value Drug Mart, and I've done another one since then for next month's coming up. Then we had a discussion with IP&D and Jameson's department and CAO Ling and Director Johnston about where we're at with Prosperity Park and what it looks like the timelines to be finished down there, and we're still waiting for a little bit more information. On the 13th, I was at the sign initiative incentive photo at over at Vegreville Inn and Suites Tower 2, and it was nice talking to, finally met the other partner over there. He just moved to Sherwood Park, so it's nice. He's out of Vancouver. Then the other guy still lives in Vancouver, but they're flying back and forth, and they're looking for more opportunities in Vegreville all the time, and so it was a really nice conversation with them. On the 15th, Jameson and myself had a meeting with some local a business from Vancouver that did the changes over at the Case Processing Center, and just finding out where they were with the rentals, and they were very happy with the intake of how many people had already put their deposit down. And actually, they were inquiring about, is there any other opportunity for them in this community? So it was a good meeting, and to see that this project is going very well for them was really nice to talk to them about that. On the 18th, I too attended the Lakeland Employment grand opening, and there was a very nice presentation from a man from Saddle Lake there. He did a really good job. And then I took another picture, again, for the business spotlight coming up. The 19th was the legislative committee meeting. On Friday, the 22nd, we went to Vegreville Dental Clinic, and I want to thank Councilors Lemko and Curtis for coming out there. That tree sure hides his sign, but it really looks nice. He didn't see it driving by until we got walked up there, that I guess when the leaves come off, we'll all get to see his beautiful sign, because it is very nice. And then I attended and spoke at the grand opening of the Rotary Club of Vegreville's new skate park, and I can't say enough. It's going to be a big asset. We've already seen clubs from Red Deer and other communities come up here to use it. The youth of this community, like I said at the grand opening, these projects are a legacy project. I mean, what it does to help the youth today, but this is going to be around for a long time, and just so proud of them. They brought this up before COVID, and it didn't seem like that long ago that Renee asked me to help out in a video that they were doing at Wild & Company, and their funding model I was looking at, I was like, oh my goodness, that is a ton of money. But they did it, and they had a lot of support from the community, and if I was a Rotarian, I'd be very proud driving by that every day. And tonight's council meeting, and that's all I have. So that being said, is there any other business of council? Seeing none, I will take a motion to go into closed session. Councilor Riddick makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. 8:04 on that, Leslie?